Good morning. I invite you to turn and recognize the worth and dignity of each person around you. Got a few more people finding their way in, and this is nice. A good morning for us all. And welcome. I am the Reverend Bob Renjilian. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalists of Transylvania County on this great day. Our mission is to support individual spiritual journeys and to promote social, economic, and environmental justice. I have a few announcements to get us rolling as folks are finding their seats. We invite you to please stay after this service for our third annual Pride Picnic. Outside, we rented a tent because you remember the year it poured and we couldn't fit in here and it was awful. So we figured if it's like a day in which you decide you're going to carry an umbrella all day, and so it will never rain on you. So we rented a tent, and I think the Rainbow Alliance helped pay for that. And so we have shade, we have the ability to mix and mingle outside, and thank you for all of you who were bringing side dishes for today. Speaking of eating, there is no way we could make it through this week without also mentioning Wonderful Wednesday. June 10th, Friction Farm is here, using music to thrive in difficult times, as it says up here. The meal is at 5:30. That's what we would like you to sign up for, either signing in the lobby or online. So we have a count of about how many meals to prepare. But the 6:30 program is completely open as you drop in without reservation. We hope you'll enjoy. You'll notice on your Friday email, the update email that Tricia sends out each week, it had a link in it for the Campus Survey 2026. The survey is designed to take a pulse of our UUTC community as we consider how to best prepare our current and future space and online needs. So as I said, the button to click to get to the survey was in your email on Friday. Go ahead and search your inbox for the word update with 2 U's at the beginning, update. We had the sign-up sheets almost completely filled for delivering meals to the Haven on June 12th. That's the end of the week. And Lisa's cheering because it means that Lisa doesn't have fill-in with cooking a meal. But I did notice there's 1 slot left on the sign-up sheet for coffee, creamer, sugar, and milk. So if somebody is willing to go out and get those things, that would be great. Put your name there and make sure it gets delivered over to 126 Oakdale, 3 to 5 p.m. on the 12th. The social action team is holding a book drive to benefit El Centro. Many students in Brevard and Rosman go to El Centro after school, and they have very few books. And so what is the need? Books either in new or very good condition for students in kindergarten through high school. And this drive has been going for several weeks, and I see the boxes filling up in the front entry there, but it ends next Sunday, June 14th, so we wanted to give it one last little push for that. There are so many other things that go on in this place, but I didn't write them all down. So you'll have to just keep up with email announcements, posters on the wall and in there and all of that to know what the wonderful things that are going on in this congregation. And we will have John Austin lead us into worship with the prelude.
Thank you, John, for that beautiful piece. Good morning. I'm Ian Cowie. I'm the worship associate for this morning's service. Our chalice lighting is by Reverend Tess Baumberger, minister of First Universalist Church of Essex, Massachusetts. Titled, Tending the Flame, Lighting the Way Together. I will read the stanza, and then please respond with tending the flame, lighting the way together. So it's the words that are in yellow. You read those things. These words have great meaning in so many ways. So let's begin. In such stormy times, our lights may waver, or at times even go out. So we gather around the flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith, to kindle our flames once more. Tending to flame, lighting the way together. As siblings on this journey, we warm one another with our care, our tears, and laughter, sharing moments of comfort and celebration. Tending the flame, lighting the way together. Sometimes, just sometimes, we carry another through hard times, across deserts. Sometimes we are carried with others to light the way. Tending the flame, lighting the way together. We encourage one another to grow, feeding our spiritual lives and strengthening the bonds of our beloved community. Tending the flame, lighting the way together. We watch and help our children grow into thoughtful youth and inspiring young adults who take our values with them into the world. Tending the flame, lighting the way together. We find ways to work together to create a better world where everyone can shine in the ways of their own brilliance. Tending the flame, lighting the way together. None of us can do this alone. This living, this being in the world, we know that we need one another, especially in times like now. Tending the flame, lighting the way together. So we gather to kindle our flame, which sometimes rekindles our own. We gather to tend it together, so that it may light our own way and brighten the path for others. Tending the flame, lighting the way together. Thank you.
I see that several people have left notes for our time of lighting candles for our joys and our sorrows, because we don't enter this room empty. We enter with things on our hearts and things in our minds. This moment is bringing our fullness and our cares into this space. I'm going to look briefly at these and see what duplicates we may have from what was sent to me electronically. We'll light a candle for Nat Kornblum, who is lighting a candle of joy for her parents, Jan and Matt, who just celebrated their 30th wedding anniversary. And I light a candle of healing for Don Odell, who was hospitalized after a fall this week. And I light a candle of healing for Evelyn Gertis, dealing with jaw pain. I light a candle, Habitat for Humanity. Thanks the volunteers from UUTC for our help in the project last week. Susan Zelli, among others, have reached out to me to be sure we light a candle for prayers and healing vibes for Lib Ann, who broke her foot and is on crutches. Ian, you've asked for this candle. For dreams begin responsibility. You need to dream first. Yes, we'll say more about that in this service. And Michael Solomon is lighting a candle for his daughter, Dara. 6 years ago today, our family lost our beloved Dara. She loved UUTC, watching the Sunday service recordings from 700 miles away, and we would share our thoughts after each service. And let's light a candle for things not yet shared, held in the hearts of those who are here, or maybe those who are online watching us. Let's remember that these candles are a prayer. Spirit of love and life, we lift up each of these in our hearts. We lift up into our consciousness the ways in which we love and move and are in the holiness when we are, in fact, embracing one another, making a difference in others' lives, and inviting others into our vulnerability. Blessed be. Amen.
Thank you, John. Our opening words are by Henry Hampton. Now, working as UUA's information director in Boston, in 1965, that was a pivotal year for Mr. Hampton. He responded to Dr. King's call to participate in the Civil Rights March in Selma, Alabama. Decades later, Mr. Hampton was recognized for his work. He was the creator and producer of the PBS series Eyes on the Prize. These are Mr. Hampton's words. I am given to talking about dreams because dreaming separates us from other animals, other life forms. I have a favorite line from a play I read years ago. In dreams begins responsibility. And indeed, it is true. When you dream of something, you can begin to take it upon it yourself, make it yours, change it. But you have to dream it first. You have to think of the world as you would really have it. I don't mean wish it. I mean dream it. And you would really have it. And sometimes I think Unitarian Universalists wish more than they dream. Let us dream together. Let us worship together. Please rise as you are able for our opening hymn. These things shall be. The words will be on the screen. Hymn number 138.
With flame of
its happy bond shall burn a steadfast song within the complete spirit of the mind. You are true of love and gold, and guide your music through the skies, and every life a song shall be, when all the earth is paradise.
Thank you, John. Now's the time for wisdom of all ages. Kevin.
Good morning. Our theme for this month is flourish, how we can flourish together and make the world a better place. And the story today is called The Daffodil Principle by Geraldine Aspend Edwards. Well, a mother went to visit her adult daughter, and the mother had been feeling down for a little while because she was reflecting on her life and feeling that she had never really made the contribution she wanted. She hadn't really made the change in life or the change in the world that she had hoped for herself, and she was basically feeling pretty down. So her daughter said, well, please come on up and visit me. There's a place I'd like to take you. The place is called the Daffodil Garden. And the mom said, no, I really don't feel like going out or doing anything. But the daughter said, believe me, you'll want to go to this place. Your life will be changed once you do. So they went for a drive. They went driving into the hills and up towards the mountains of a little town called Running Springs in California. And once they got up there, there's a small church, and they pulled into the church parking lot. And on the side, there was a sign that said the Daffodil Garden, and it's pointed down a trail. So they started walking down the trail, and they turned a corner, and their breath was just taken away. For before them were daffodils as far as the eye could see, over 5 acres of them. And they were all different types and all different colors, and they're planted in such a way that the different hues of the flowers were like running branches of a river or different parts of the world, and it was just flowing all around them. They were truly amazed. And nearby, there is a little tidy house, and the daughter said, that's the woman who's in charge of this place. And she has planted every one of these daffodils here. And there was a little sign with a poster on it, and they walked up, and the sign said, to answer the questions you're probably asking. 1, 50,000 bulbs of daffodils. 2, planted by one woman with 2 hands and 2 feet. And 3, since 1958. For this is the actual real work of Jean Bauer, who's been planting these daffodils and making this enormous garden over in Running Springs, California for decades and decades. And they just marveled at it all. And the mother was thinking about this and said, this, I think, makes me feel even a little bit worse, because here's this woman having worked and done so much and done such an amazing job. But the daughter says, I think you're missing the point, Mom. It's not that she's done all of this, it's that she did it one at a time. And that's what's being called to us, to do small things in our own way, just one at a time. For planting one bulb at a time, year after year, this relatively unknown woman has changed the world in which she lived. One day at a time, she's created something of extraordinary magnificence, beauty, and inspiration. The principle of her daffodil garden is taught one of the greatest principles that we can celebrate. That is, learning to move toward our goals and our desires one step at a time, often one little baby step at a time, learning to love the doing, learning to use that accumulation of time together. When we multiply these little tiny pieces of time with elements of the daily effort, we find we can accomplish magnificent things. We can flourish together and change the world. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin, for that story. That somebody would do something, give something, and then make it visible to others, make it real in a world that needs so much beauty. To have given such a gift over that many years makes a difference. This congregation, in its now 27 years of existence, has, in fact, made a difference. One dime at a time, $1 at a time, $10,000 at a time. We're planting the seeds for things such as a pride picnic. We, in our charitable giving, make a difference in this world. And just being here and being a place where we can have messages that talk about how beauty and love and acceptance are at the center of what we are about as human beings and what we're taught in the wisdom of the world's religions, this week after week makes a difference. This is the time for our offering, and our special envelope changes up this week because it's a new month. So we have an envelope for SAFE. SAFE works to ensure that all victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse can find safety, be treated with dignity and respect, and get access to the opportunities and services they need to create long-lasting changes. SAFE also operates Stacy's House, a shelter where women, their children, and pets can go to escape crisis situations and receive counseling and support. SAFE also focuses on the prevention, as I said, of domestic and sexual abuse through education, intervention, and outreach, with an overall goal of creating more positive, stronger, and safer communities. The UUTC's social justice charitable giving this month in the envelope is for SAFE. If you put the donation into the basket itself, it comes to the good of this congregation, or in the envelope, it will go and be collected through the month to go to SAFE. Thank you for voting for SAFE for this month's charitable giving. We will now gratefully receive the morning offering. Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Susan. What is given in love, we receive with joy. Thank you. I invite you into a time of prayer and meditation. Spirit of love of life, we are gathered here knowing that the world we live in is not always sunny like today. We know that our world has many things disturbing to us. Wars around in different locations. Violence perpetrated against completely innocent folks at a city festival in Ohio. And the sadness that we experience around the grief of those not with us and the horrors of a system of living in this country which leaves people without complete social nets and in fear and in need for food, shelter, safety. Through all this spirit of love and life, we come to this time and place and say, here may we with love make things at least a little different in the area of life that we somehow are present in, to bring some comfort and joy to one another, to live up to the injunctions said to us throughout the world's religions to love our neighbor as ourself, to not only tolerate or accept others, but to embrace difference as if it were the beauty of different hues of flowers, to recognize that we are in fact reliant on one another and this environment we live in. Spirit of love and life, we hold these prayers, the prayers for those who are finding their rights taken away from them by legislative action, in our silence, the prayers of our hearts and the meditations of our minds. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, we say, Amen. Blessed be. I chose responsive reading for our reading today. It's We Give Thanks This Day. It's number 512 in the hymn book, but we don't hand out the hymn books unless you want one. But we'll have it up on the screen. I'll read the white words and you read the indented green. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, we give thanks this day. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons. We give thanks this day. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements. We give thanks this day. For our human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression. We give thanks this day. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared. We give thanks this day. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom. We give thanks this day. For human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. We give thanks this day, and we pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes. Not by our words, but by our deeds. Sermon title today is Living Our Mission, and I am indeed hoping that we spend a moment or two before we run out for the potato salad and hot dogs and thinking about what our mission is, our dream, why for 27 years we've existed and why we have something to do with flourishing together in the future as well. I have thought about this subject each year when we get to the first weekend of June, this anniversary of the signing of the membership book of the original founders, and we have a couple who are here with us sitting in the room, and those of you know, one over here, one over there, and we have had memorials for some of the founders who are no longer with us. One recently delayed service held for Sally, and you can think of others who you've missed, who were part of the early days of making this place exist. It's important to exist. It's important to do what the story of the daffodils was saying. One at a time, we are making a change, and that over the years, it will become something that is breathtaking and awesome. I believe, and I don't know if we ever got the frame in time, but Tricia, you were going to frame the proclamation by the mayor and city council that this is Pride Month. And when we first started doing Pride events here in our sanctuary and in our spaces the first weekend of each month, I don't think there was any such proclamation. We just decided we would have the Gay Men's Chorus give us a free concert. And then we decided the next year we would have a pride picnic in the drenching rain. Not good, folks. And we would pair up with the Rainbow Alliance and the GSA group from the college to put together floats for the holiday parade. We were going to make a difference along those lines. And I emphasize those right now because it is Pride Month. It is something that we are facing in this world, a resistance to our message of love and inclusion, a resistance to our mission of spirituality and social justice, a resistance for folks who are saying, I don't like being told I have to accept my neighbor, love my neighbor. Folks who would much rather think that religion is teaching them who to exclude rather than the radical idea of who we include and embrace. 27 years of stating mission statements of purpose, of saying we want the folks who are experiencing temporary homelessness to get a chance to do better. We want to help establish the predecessor to SAFE and to continue to help SAFE with shelters. We want to help organizations such as Pisca Legal to go ahead and provide legal services. And right now we know we have members who are not showing up here at church because they're living our mission by being directly engaged in immigrant help in this community. Yay, shout out to Bobby King and others who are doing those kinds of things. One by one, Unitarian Universalists in this community have attracted other Unitarian Universalists. For the people who have decided they want to move someplace and they look on a map and they say, I want a really fun place to go to, and it has to have a Unitarian Universalist congregation. And this is one of those places where people will come and settle. And I'm looking at you right here. And each of you has come with something of a valuable contribution. You have brought your children or grandchildren to this space. You have brought your hobbies and your talents to this space. You have made this very space much different from the dingy garage that it was for the gas company. And you have made this community something far different from what it was in the 20th century when there was a need for this place to exist. We are not the only ones who start speaking up for religious messages of inclusion, but we are perhaps the more flamboyant people in trying to have, the colorful shoes, the colorful banners, the flags, and other things right where people can see it. Our social action team, now renamed Social Justice Team, arranged to be the very first church to have the immigrant rights banner placed on the side of our building. And you know what they said after it was done? I had one of them come and say, I want to have something up there all the time. Because you see, when you first start and you realize you can, in fact, make a difference and do something positive and look at it and feel like, wow, that was the right thing to do, you dream of how you could do more. Now, I didn't say wish, because the reading that Ian was doing at the beginning here said, Henry Hampton said, Unitarian Universalists tend to wish, not dream. The healthiest congregations have a vision, have a dream. You know that when Martin Luther King Jr. was doing his I Have a Dream speech, it wasn't called that. He had a set text to do, and it was doing okay, but the people in the audience were saying, yep. You go on, yep, preacher, you say it. And he's there preaching, and finally a famous woman speaks up and says, Martin, tell him about the dream. Tell him about the dream, Martin. And he switches out of his text into preaching, I have a dream. Now, you may or may not know that very briefly Martin Luther King Jr. was tempted to maybe associate with the Unitarian Universalists rather than stay in his own Baptist tradition. But he realized, like Henry Hampton, who was working for the UUA in 1965, that the Unitarian Universalists were probably not sorry to say it, not good enough as a base to help him get his message out. Unitarian Universalists showed up when he asked, but we were not leading in such a way that he was going to get to do what he needed to do in his prophetic voice. That hurts, folks, to know that Unitarian Universalists weren't quite up to what was needed in 1965 or whenever it was before that time. He knew he could call on us. We need to be better dreaming and then saying our dream out loud. I have a dream that when we had, what did we have? The very first midterm election we did UU the vote, we had 400 postcards that we wrote and sent out to encourage people to vote. And then in the last major election cycle, we said, can we do this again? Yes. Can we do better this time? Yes. We sent out 3 times more postcards. We sent out over 1,200 postcards from this congregation, mostly to people in Mecklenburg County who maybe needed encouragement, hadn't been out voting much, and needed to get out to the polls and know that there were values to vote for. And we hand wrote postcards in colored pencils and all of that and sent that out to over 1,200. Now, Ian has signed us up to do this again. Now, I don't know how many postcards Ian has ordered, but we got a grant to order more postcards and the stamps to go with them and to buy them as soon as we can because, of course, the price of stamps is going up next month. But we're going to try again, lead up to this election to get people to think about democracy and engagement and being part of things. Now, that is actually making an effort towards a dream. We have a dream that we will live in a society that appreciates democracy, and with that democracy we are engaging. We are a part of, in our religious impulse, allowing the voices of others, encouraging the voices of others into the public sphere, not so that politicians can pick their voters, but so that voters can pick their politicians. I've said that and preached on that a couple of times. In the run-up to the 2024 election, just going back to that, 20% of UUs across this state, participated in the pro-democracy effort, reaching over 100,000 voters. And okay, so we're a little over 1.2% of reaching out to those 100,000 voters. This year, the target will be 400,000. Maybe we could do it. Maybe we could be part of that. Maybe each of us who took 12 postcards last time will take 25, 30, 50, and slowly go and work them and put them out there. We would love for that. I have a dream. I can't say it like Martin Luther King. I have a dream, but I have a dream. And I came to this congregation with a dream that I would be helping you through a major transition. You had a beloved former pastor who was with you all the way up to 2014, and then you went through how many ministers over the next few years? I mean, you wanted to settle down with some ministers, but one had a heart attack before they even preached their first sermon here. Another one got sick. Within 18 months had to take medical leave from UU ministry entirely. You persevered. And so I looked at your history and said, this is not some little flash in the pan congregation. This is a congregation that's going to make it through rough ministry transitions, who's living in a very red county, and making proclamations. I have a dream that this congregation will in fact become a center for the values that we espouse. Yes, we have the meditation groups. Yes, we bring in and open our space to the NAACP for 2 of its committees. Yes, we have people who show up at the courthouse for Moral Mondays. Yes, we have folks who will show up for other events and help run them in the community. And yes, we have people who will write letters to the editor and be thoroughly annoying. You know, I told you about the memorial for Sally last month. Sally got an official letter from a lawyer saying cease and desist. I have a dream that we will be, even more of us will be known for that. And I know some of you say, well, Bob, what have you ever written a letter of editor about? Well, I wrote one for trans rights and recognizing trans people in the community. That's one letter. Okay, that's not a whole lot. Ernie's doing a whole lot more than that, our minister emeritus. But it means each of us have to do stuff like that. I wrote a letter with a whole bunch of religious colleagues saying the racist white supremacist stickers that were being put up at each crosswalk downtown were, well, I'm going to use the word abomination because that word is used all the time by people against others. But I said it was wrong. We wrote a letter immediately to the editor and it was in there, a statement. We cannot stop Carter Haywood from writing statements out of this idea of how we live our lives. I have a dream that more and more of us will be doing that we will speak up. And in our schools, our students will speak up who had our OWL class and say, that's not it. The real way of understanding sexuality, relationships, and all of that, that's different. And we know how because we were taught at the Unitarian Universalist congregation. I have a dream that when we have a new building, I say when, I'm annoying you because you haven't voted on having a new building yet. We don't have a drawing of a new building. We haven't raised money for a new building. But when we have our new building, when, not if, when we have a new building, which will go in before 2031 because our time is running out, we will have more space for groups to come in here. You know, I have spoken about the fact that the Brevard Jewish community, even though they have a space in which they're welcome to worship, does not regularly use that space for their lecture series. They do not have control over that space. And when they were told that perhaps they shouldn't be holding their lecture series, we stepped in and said, here. But we don't have enough space to do that for everything that might come down the pike. We've got the Rogau Room, and we got the Jenkins Center, and we got UUTC showing up time and time again for things that other organizations don't want in their doors. And I have a dream that we will be known as the place for those things moving forward. Where are we going to hold this controversial thing? At the UUTC, of course. I have a dream that we're going to matter so much here. And it's said that somehow Unitarian Universalists in red spaces do indeed get to make a difference. I know a congregation, the first congregation that ordained me, had in the 1960s been a stop along the way that opened the doors of their bathrooms for the buses of the students going down to Selma. And they made sandwiches and handed out lunches because in that city, those student protesters going down to Selma were not welcome and were not going to be allowed at the lunch counters, in restrooms, or anywhere. And as a reward, that congregation in the years ahead ended up with FBI agents taking pictures of who was coming and going on Sunday mornings from that church. Because if you allow the marginalized to be housed and fed and treated fairly, you must in fact be a threat to the American way. If you let people in who are at the margins, you must in fact be a threat to society. And I was so glad that congregation was a threat to the society that people wanted it to be back then in that 20th century time period. And you know what the minister did? And this was so great. And I'm going to have to think of ways in which I do this when it happens here. Because I have a dream that we will be, in fact, seen as counter to the white Christian nationalists. We are counter to the way in which things are shifting in society. That minister, years later, would go out and take a picture of each FBI agent. And just as now we have ICE agents who cover their faces and try not to be seen, the FBI did not like being known to be doing what they were doing, and they didn't want their images taken. I have a dream that we will look at folks in society and say, I see you and I see what you're doing. And if that turns to shame inside of them, so that at some point they might apologize for what they were doing, which I don't know that the FBI got to apologizing for anything until after J. Edgar Hoover died. But if we can be part of that voice, I have a dream that we might, in fact, not be bullied into submission, that we would have the chance to live our mission. That 27 years ago, maybe the people didn't exactly think that's why they were founding a congregation, but we sure have planted enough daffodils to make it a beautiful choice for us. You see the shirts? I'm going to ask Bob Bennett. Bob Bennett, would you stand up? You see the shirts in the lobby? Bob Bennett got one. Unitarian Universalists show up in this bright color, and I know some of you have told me that you wished you could be in a color that matched better to your style. But the fact is, we're showing up like the daffodils. We're showing up. We're visible. And a great sea of yellow shows up in many events across this nation. I invite you to be part of that sea of yellow where people gasp and say, that many? And we say, yeah, that's us. Maybe we'll spend a little extra after we get the shirts from the UUA and put UUTC on the back. But the Side with Love message is one I have a dream of. I have a quote that might have been used as opening words, but I didn't. And I'm going to use it to close out my sermon. This is from Melvin Hoover. Mel Hoover transferred his ordination to the Unitarian Universalists in 1984, and Mel's service to the Unitarian Universalism began in the Urban Church Coalition and the Black Concerns Working Group. In 1987, he joined the Unitarian Universalist Association staff as the Urban and International Programs Director, then became assistant to the president to advocate for racial inclusiveness. He coordinated the UUA's justice work as Director of Faith in Action and as a member of the UUA Executive Council. In 2013, he received the award for distinguished service to the cause of Unitarian Universalism. Here are his words. We can't change the past, but we can learn from it and build on it. We can't control the future, but we can shape it and enhance the possibilities for our children and grandchildren. We can't discern in the present the fullness of our actions and their impact, but we can be pioneers in our time, exploring fully the crevices and cracks where knowledge and new insights might be found. and we can explore our spectrum of relationships and confront our complacency and certainty about the way things are. We can dare to face ourselves in our entirety, to understand our pain, to feel the tears, and to listen to our frustrations and confusion, and to discover new capabilities and capacities that will empower and transform us. And in the spirit of a pioneer, let us now go forth. I invite you to join with me in our closing hymn, If There Ain't Room for Me. We've sung it. I think this will be the fourth time. John will play the melody all the way through once, and then we'll jump in and sing the words as are on the screen, or the ushers have the music to follow along with those of you who like holding music. If there ain't room for me, if there ain't room for you, if there ain't room for me and you, that ain't the space for me, that ain't the place for me. If there ain't room for me and you, people talk inclusivity, inherent worth and dignity. So you gotta make room for this faith to grow. 'Cause if there ain't room for me, that ain't the space for me. Gotta make room for this faith to grow on. If my neighbor can't go, if the stranger can't go, if the neighbor and the stranger can't go, that ain't the space for me, that ain't the space for me. Siding with love is the way for you and me. People who love make room, siding with love make room. Open up opportunities, split money. Siding with love make room, lighten up the circle, make room. That is the space for you and me. That is the space for me and you. You gotta make room for me. I'm going to close this service with words from Theodore Parker, a Unitarian minister of the Civil War era, who got himself in trouble and put up posters against capturing escaped slaves and generally made a pain of himself. These are his words. Be our a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love, its profession of faith divine living. May you go out with those words and live them. May you, as you munch on your salads and your food, remember that what we do when we go over and open up a picnic to everyone in this community, we live our mission visibly in this little corner. May we bring comfort and joy to those who are marginalized. Thank you for being Unitarian Universalists.